Falcons are pushing hard, and we'll see what happens, man. World Cup games have been crazy.
Do you know what the odds are on this? I mean,
No.
odds-wise, Morocco's got to be.
They're definitely underdogs. France are the favorites, or they were after Brazil went out. I would say Argentina's the favorite because I want them to win, but I think it's going to be a good game, man. So I'm excited.
And if Argentina wins, I believe there's a party at Martin Grammatica's house.
I'll throw a party at my house.
And invite Martin.
Invite Martin, exactly.
And then we will definitely do that. All right, so let's talk about the Paddy fight.
Yeah.
Against Jared Gordon, who was on the program last week. I thought and still think that Paddy lost that fight. Every single person I've spoken to, and the joke that's going around, and I just said it to Drew, the joke is anybody who wasn't wearing the fake wig or one of the three judges had Jared Gordon winning that fight.
Or add Caleb to that list.
You thought Paddy won?
I didn't watch it a second time, but I think what Drew said kind of is really true because I'm excited to watch Paddy fight. And so
That's
I'm
fine.
Constantly watching what he's doing. And I can see how the judges would pick him to win that fight. Because the first time I watched it, what I saw was he was on the attack. He was setting the tempo, right? His opponent, and I forget his name, Jared Gordon, was catching him with some left hooks, and he caught him quite a bunch of times. But he was always catching on a counterpunch. Paddy was the attacker. Paddy was throwing more combinations. He was getting a lot of damage done. So I can see how you can score the first 2 rounds for Paddy. And then the last round, Jared didn't really do much. He kind of put him up against the cage, got one significant strike, and was kind of just on the cage wrestling the whole time. So I feel like maybe if he went out and did more in that, and I haven't watched the second time. This is just my first time watching it. I felt like if he had done more in that third round, maybe he had a chance to change the judge's mind, but they scored the first for Paddy anyway.
Well, not every judge.
Yeah.
And this is, typically the first thing I look at when I see the scorecard, and especially, and this was not a split decision, but like if it's a split decision, I look and see who did what judging wise, just because I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
Typically they all get it right.
Yeah.
Not saying they get the fight right. All three will score the first round for whoever, the second round for whoever. It tends to be a unanimous round.
Yeah.
In this case, 1 or 2 judges had Jared winning round 1, and 1 or 2 judges had Jared winning round 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a consistent. And I do understand, it could be one punch, it could be one this, it could be one that. As I watched it, I thought Jared won.
Yeah.
I even thought and think round 2 was so close. Jared could have won that. I gave it to Paddy just because I'm trying to think, what are the judges doing?
Mm-hmm.
I tried to, okay, let's make this fun. I wasn't judging.
Yeah.
I was just, okay, 1-1, let's see what happens in 3.
Yeah.
Kevin Ioli, who is very well respected, he had it 30-27 for Jared.
Okay.
So
The fight that I think really was the one that left my head scratching was the second part of the co-main event. The Blachowicz fight and Ankalaev. What are your thoughts on that?
we were en route to the airport.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Okay, I'll give you a little rundown.
Okay.
The first 2 rounds was a masterclass by Blachowicz with shin kicks, leg kicks. So much so that Ankalaev was hopping on one leg multiple times. Like, he gets kicked in the shins, and he's like limping and can't stand. And it looked like it was about to be over pretty quickly.
Either a 10-8? Could either of those rounds been a 10-8?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was bad damage. Like, I mean, his legs were messed up. He couldn't walk. He was limping. I thought if Blachowicz would have closed in on one of those leg kicks in the second round, he could have closed the fight out. Third, in the corner, his coaches, Ankalaev coaches, says, hey, if this guy can't grapple, why are you playing with him? Go grapple him. And then you saw in the third round, he started off with some leg kicks. Ankalaev gets into the ground, gets a lot of ground control, right? And doesn't do a lot of damage, but has a lot of ground control. The fourth round, he gets ground control and starts inflicting ground and pound. Looks like Islam does, looks like Khabib does, like all the Russians do. The fourth round, he throws a punch at Jan. Jan goes down because he misses the punch. Jan gets scared of the takedown. He goes down. He has ground control for about 4 minutes of that round, of the fifth round, and does a lot of ground and pound damage, right? And Jan cannot get up from it. So it looked like to me that the third, fourth, and fifth will go to Ankalaev. and then they came to a split decision, which everybody was pretty shocked about. When they asked Jan initially, when they go to raise each other's hands, he points to Uncle Aya.
Right, I heard that.
Like, just go ahead, I know he won. And then they say split decision. He was like, and then, Joe Rogan gets in there and he's like, so do you think that he won the fight? And, it's a split decision now. He's like, I'm not a judge.
Right.
I don't want to say, even though he felt like he lost.
But athletes know.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
he was like, like in that situation, like I want to fight again. I want to get a chance for the belt again. And so it was a big controversy, and he was kind of like, well, I'm not a judge, and then he comes up and says, hey, give him the belt, like just give him the belt. And I guess Dana was just like, those guys didn't do enough, like you should have did more, and gave the title fight to somebody else. So that was the interesting one for me.
Back real quick, I don't know if you've seen it. It is floating around on Twitter. Joe Rogan's reaction when Bruce Buffer said Paddy won the fight.
Yeah, he was like,
He rolled his eyes.
Yeah.
It's like,
both times he did that.
well, again, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
My question to you is, give me your thoughts on the title fight, on who Glover is going to fight.
Oh yeah, I talked about him before because I saw his last fight against who was supposed to fight? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. But I watched his last fight. He was on the main card, and I want to say it was in Vegas earlier this year, and he looked amazing. Like he got a 4th round TKO, and he looked great. So I think it's a good matchup. I don't know how well he does on the ground because he's a striker and he's a really, really good striker, and so I'm excited for that fight.
Here's the thing, and again, Dana knows what he's doing, whatever. So Jamal Hill was scheduled to fight Anthony Smith.
Yes.
Anthony Smith, and rankings mean nothing. We all know that. It's not their rankings. It's some media that know what they're doing and some media that don't.
Yeah.
So Glover is going to fight Hill and not Smith, who's ranked higher than him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it because Anthony's already fought for the title?
I think Jamal's a more exciting fight. I think Jamal looked really good in his last fight.
Then let's get rid of the rankings. The rankings are a joke.
I don't think Dana pays attention that much to this. I think he looks at the styles.
Then why did the UFC add that? And then the UFC was the first one to add it, and then everybody followed Bellator, and they all do the rankings now.
I mean, look at college football rankings. People lose, and sometimes they go down. People win, and sometimes they don't go up. And it's just
sometimes you lose 3 games, and Alabama's still in the playoffs.
Exactly. So it's just you see what happens, and so I think it's I think the people who run it and looks like, okay, who's going to make the best fight? Who's going to make the best match? Who's going to make the best game? And they go with that.
All right. I do apologize. We're 38 minutes in, and I didn't bring up the passing of Mike Leach.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Teams coming here next week. It's going to be probably tough for them to come and play. I didn't realize, and this is, Matt keeps wishing that I die, so he can take over the show and all that, and I understand that. But Mike Leach was 61.
Yeah, young man.
And it's like, wow. It kind of puts perspective, so I'm going to go out and have a good time tonight.
I'll give you my personal story about Mike Leach. He recruited me coming out of high school. But I had so much disdain for him because I grew up a Longhorn fan. And he was at Texas Tech with that air raid. And he used to give Texas, this was Texas hype, when Vince Young was there and Colt McCoy and Garrett Gilbert and all those guys. And he used to give us fits. We were the number 1 team in the country. I was a UT fan. Just coming off beating Oklahoma, we went from number 5 to number 1. The very next week we were playing Texas Tech, and Michael Crabtree has that amazing catch, in the corner for the win on 4th down. And so I hated Mike Leach, but he's such a good coach. He went to Wazoo and did great things, and he revolutionized the game. Those 2.5-foot splits that nobody knew what to do with, running inside zone, the air raid with Graham Harrell, making all those plays, breaking out all those numbers, the receivers that he had. So he's an amazing guy, amazing coach, very quirky, somebody I felt like I'd have got along with, and so we lost a great amount of the games. R.I.P. to him.
And when the news came out, and then a lot of his tree, his coaching trees, you don't ever realize until you see it, when there's a head coach, who's underneath them.
Yeah.
And then they all, branch out and
that's success too.
And right, do success, and it's from their tree. I hate to even ask you this, but how will that affect the team? Granted, it's 2.5 weeks, so it's not necessarily this weekend. But I believe they come to town middle of next week. How is that going to affect the team? It could go either way.
It definitely will. And again, you can always, try and play for your coach, but that continuity, and again, he calls the plays on that team, right? He's the offensive mind. He's the leader of men. Look how the Bucks were affected. Again, we all have our feelings about Bruce Arians. But he left, and look at the team, and look what's done. With the same players. They've had injuries, but it's the same guys, and look kind of how the team has faltered and not look as consistent. Because he's that leader. He's that guy that can control the room, control the other coaches, and everybody listens to him and what he says. And so for me, I don't. It can go either way. I've lost coaches. I've lost other players, too, in the middle of the seasons. And it could go either way, but it's going to be tough for those guys.
Since you brought it up, if the coach isn't doing them wherever, we're not necessarily talking Tampa, we're just talking NFL, anywhere or college or whatever, is it not then fall on the captains and the team to kind of keep it up there? Or once that head coach is checked out, sort of, is there no coming back?
I mean, captains can only do so much. Captains don't run the coordinators. Captains don't run the training staff and the equipment staff, and they don't settle those things. They don't hold a captain of a team can't hold the defensive coordinator accountable and can't call him out when something goes awry, right? Captains can only handle players, and they can voice their opinions to coaches, but they can't control what the coaches do and check the coaches. And so it's a way different dynamic.
Got a big thing coming up in the second hour of today's show.
Yeah.
There's a couple things sitting behind me.
Ooh.
I can't wait.
Christmas time.
It is Christmas time. It's holiday time. It's holiday time.
It's Christmas time.
Well, it's holiday time.
Christmas.
Okay. Does that mean I got to celebrate Christmas?
Yeah.
If you want a gift.
No, I want 8 gifts. That's why I love being Jewish. It's 8 gifts. I'll tell you a real quick story, and then we got to hit this break. So, when my dad passed away a couple of years ago, we're at the funeral, and my little brother basically ran the funeral and the whole 9 yards, and so I get up and I say this little thing about how important baseball was to my dad, and the Jewish religion, everything is on Saturday, where your all's a religion, it's on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And I said, so my dad had to make a choice. Is it Hebrew school or is it baseball? He chose baseball. So I said, I'm going to say the only prayer that I know in Hebrew, which is the Hanukkah prayer when you light the candles and then go get your gifts. That's the only prayer that I know in Hebrew.
So what's wrong with you guys? Like, isn't
You guys?
Isn't he,
You guys?
But isn't he one of you?
Okay,
Like,
Kanye.
hold on, Jesus is your guy. I mean, he's Jewish. Well, why don't you celebrate him on Christmas? Why don't you celebrate his tree and his holiday?
His tree?
No, it's his tree. But I don't get it. He's your guy.
Jesus was Jewish.
Believe I know. And so was Hitler.
No, he was.
Oh.
No, he was not.
You and Kanye.
Hitler had Jewish blood in him.
Okay, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
'cause
No, I'm just saying. I'm not.
Caleb's gonna burn his Yeezys now.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
He's gonna put them away so people don't know he has them.
No,
All right,
I work.
let's go hit a quick break. When we come back, more shenanigans and gift giving time is right around the corner from some gifts that I got from the Vinyl Image.
Ooh.
Time will tell what you guys get. And I love your card better than anything. Where do you see your card?
Okay.
This is Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Man Strong and Staff Zone. We'll be right back.